Here we go, here we go.
The best radio station to listen to this year.
It's the best.
It's the best.
It's the best music.
Best tunes.
Because they got the best music.
Live from Stuttgart City, Germany.
99.2 Radio RFM.
Your home of African music.
We play only your choice.
This is Radio Ara.
This is Radio Ara.
Home of African music.
You want to bamba? You want to G with the big boys?
Above the head, below the belly,
Brand new music. Remember where you heard it first.
everything I do, I on the 50. I'm feeling vibes on vibes.
Home of African music.
I'm again over so. Girl, you won't capture my soul.
From one amazing tune to the other.
You came all the way from Africa. Life has been a journey. Race, culture, color, and language. On Diaspora Chronicles, Agnes K. Frulich brings you Aggie's live talk show. On 99.2 FM, your home of African music. Radio Ara. This is Aggie's live talk show.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sunday again. This is Aggie's live talk show on Radio RFM in Stuttgart, Germany. We are a bit late, but we are here, and well, like always, there is always something making things slow. But we are here. We hope you have the time to sit with us and listen and discuss with us. And you know, we are always live on many portals or forums. You can discuss with us, get in touch with us. Today I want to talk about facilitating African culture in diaspora or wherever we are, because I realize we've been having some issues with identity issues. How about the foods we eat, about the clothes we wear, about so many things. But you know, it's summertime, and in most countries it's warm. It's actually almost the only time in the year when we have warmth, and so people go out, people want to have fun, people want to feel like home. So what does that have to do with facilitating African culture? And I would say it has everything to do with it, because when it's warm, we start missing home even more, because we think we could be now back in Kenya. If you're from Nigeria, we could be now in Nigeria or Ghana or Gambia, or you know, we have 54 African countries where we could be home, but some of us chose to be home in quotes. In diaspora. Wherever you are, I wish you all the best. I hope you're enjoying wherever you are as a diaspora, as an African diaspora. And I hope you're enjoying doing whatever you're doing. I hope you're not being forced to do something that you don't want to do. I'm thinking of people who maybe are held somewhere. Maybe they came over hoping to do certain things, and then they were surprised. Like, we have issues of people being, tricked into going into diaspora, thinking of they're going to earn money, they're going to have a beautiful life, and then they realize it was a trap. I hope you are free. I hope, if you're in such a situation, I hope you get help. And if you really are in such a situation, try it. Don't give up. Don't give up your freedom. Don't give up trying to get away from this situation. Try your best to get out of this situation. You can look online, and if you have a chance, have a connection with people who can help you out of your situation. I don't know where you could be. When I talk of diaspora, African diaspora means not just in Europe, not just in America. Some people think maybe it's just about countries that are in Europe or in the Western places, but I'm talking of diaspora even in Saudi Arabia, or in Arab countries, or India, or wherever, or even on the moon. That's also diaspora, because you're not living at home. And so anywhere where you're not back at home, there are things that you miss, and if you are not free wherever you are, remember, as a human being, you are entitled to freedom, and don't give up. I wish you that you would find a way of becoming free again. And especially if you're in diaspora and you don't have your family, you don't have your friends, this can be very, very hard. And so I want to wish you freedom. I want to wish you also happiness. If you are somewhere in a situation, maybe in a relationship or in a working situation where you're not you're not able to do what you would have liked to do, and you're still trying to find your way into your destiny, I wish you that you will get there. You will get a way of achieving that goal. Maybe you came and you wanted to study and it did not work, maybe because of language, because of papers, because of anything. I wish you that you'll make it, because being in diaspora and missing all the goodies that we have from our countries, you're not eating the foods that you're used to, you're not living the way you would like to, you don't have your family around you. It can be very, very hard. It can be very, very depressing. Even it can depress someone. Some people have lost their minds because of that, of lacking that the feeling of home. Some people have lost hope in life because they realize, oh my goodness, I got myself into a predicament, I got myself into a situation, and I cannot even go back, because then it's embarrassing. Or maybe because my father sold his farm and his cows and his goats to get me to this country, and I realize it's not where I should be. And maybe you're feeling down about that. There is always a better tomorrow. Don't give up. Try your best. Look for possibilities. Look for ways that you can get help, or even you can maneuver yourself out of that situation. Don't ever feel that you are lost completely. I always like to encourage people to keep trying. Even if the situation looks like it's hopeless and maybe it's difficult for you, remember, this is not the end of the world. You always can make it back out of that ugly situation that you got yourself into. So as I talk about facilitating our African culture, it's not that easy. I'm talking about this because it's all connected. Facilitating African culture, it can be of help, and it can be therapeutic, and it can be something that is necessary even for finding your identity as an African, and not just for us who came as grown-ups. Even for our children, facilitating African culture can help our children to get an identity. Some of our children feel lost because they don't know where they belong. We all know the feeling ourselves when we come out into diaspora, and then you go back home, you're happy, you're excited, I'll be home, and and you come home there, and they're treating you like a mzungu. They're like, you're talking funny now, or they don't even allow you to walk barefoot anymore at home. They don't allow you to go outside and do dishes like you used to do outside and hang them on the wood rack out there, because now you live in Europe or in diaspora. I know for some people it's not that easy, but you're in that situation and you have to survive somehow. So don't despair, because it is life. It is life. When we come here, we somehow hang in between the worlds. So you sometimes even don't know, what culture do you belong to? Where really do you belong to? Because back home they don't treat you like the one you were before anymore. And here, or in your diaspora country of choice, or also not of choice, where you landed or where you're living now, they also don't treat you like one of their own. So you're hanging outside there or up there, and you're wondering now, what do I have? Like recently we were talking about that, and we realized really when you go and start living in diaspora, you're never the same again. Your life will never be the way it was. It is different, and people back home will always look at you differently. People in your diaspora land will look at you differently. So it's you to form your own identity and to find out what is comfortable for you. So I'm inviting you to think with me and brainstorm with me. How can we facilitate our African culture? And what is the need of even facilitating our African culture? Is it necessary when you know anyway you will not be able to live there anymore as it was before? Is it even worth it anyway if you're living most of the time in your land of diaspora? I mean, those are questions that we have to ask ourselves, and we cannot avoid it whether we like it or not. It's just a reality, because I know, like here, even on sunny days, people will, the white people will come and ask you, you must be used to this heat. You know, it's like 40 degrees, and you've never had 40 degrees in your own area where you live. And then they tell you, you're used to this heat. It's nothing new for you. And you are thinking, should I start educating this person that even if it's Africa, not everywhere in Africa where there's 40 degrees every day on a daily basis, and even if it is 40 degrees somewhere, maybe in Turkana or wherever, it doesn't mean that I come from there or that I understand it. I mean, there's so many things that you're faced with, and you always have to think twice. Do I even confront this person, or should I just keep quiet? So facilitating the African culture means I'm creating a world for me where I'm feeling at home as an African in diaspora. And that means it needs my action. Like recently when we were talking about unity and being united as Africans, we talked about the concept about the making it possible for us, being structured actually, and having ways that you can facilitate the unity. And in the same way, you can facilitate African culture, but you need a concept, and you need also a structure. How are you going to do that? How do you do that, and for what? Why is it so important? First of all, let me think deeper. First of all, what is the African culture? I mean, what is the African culture? I have met many whites who tell me, I met someone from your country, I mean from an African, you must be talking the same language. And I'm like, no, not even from my own country do we speak the same language. We have different tribes speaking different languages, and not just dialect. Because if you tell someone from Schwabenland, I mean, in southern Germany, that they talk the same like someone from Bayern, they'll tell you, yeah, but they talk different. Although it's just a dialect, actually. It's not that Bayern, they are completely a different tribe. They are not a tribe, they are not a sub-nation, but they are Germans who are speaking with a different twang, I mean a different accent, a different dialect. But in our African countries, we have tribes that are like small nations within one nation. That means they have their own language, they have their own foods, they have their way of dressing, even in some cases like the Maasais or the Turkanas, and if we go to Ethiopia, the Oromo, and all these other different groups. So it's not the same when they come and tell you, this you must be speaking. Are you speaking your language? And you're talking with someone from Ghana or from wherever, and you have to explain to them, no, they have their own language, I have my own language. And then it comes down to the food. They think we eat, if the first food they ate was jollof rice, they think all Africans eat jollof rice and they know how to make jollof rice. My friend, it is hard. We have a lot of things to explain, and that becomes a bit difficult. So how do we facilitate African culture when the situations are so hard? When the situations are not so easy, when everybody is assuming that all Africans speak the same language, they come from one big country called Africa, and also they have the same traditions and rituals and whatever. How do you facilitate that culture? Which culture are you going to facilitate? And before we continue, let's make a short break.
Jambo. Tom Amolo, Ambassador of Kenya here in Germany. I'm listening to Radio RFM, home of African music, the affirmative African narrative. Karibuni nyote.
Radio R, tukutane online.
Mambo vipi, naitwa Mimi Mars aka the Sugar Queen kutoka East Africa, Tanzania, kupitia 99.2 FM Radio R. Enjoy.
Naitwa Stopper the Rhyme Maker, the bad rapper, the RCD Dan Dada.
Watu wangu kupitia 99.2 Radio R live from Germany.
Yeah, this is Linux Sandem Jada.
Naitwa Matan, msanii wa nyimbo za kizazi kipya nchini Tanzania.
Hello, mambo vipi, what's up? Naitwa Lina Sanga all the way from 255 Tanzania.
Yeah, ni Zedanto hapa ndani ya Radio R.
Yo, tunaitwa Africa Music.
Yo, bwana inakuaje watu wangu, Risho Boy is a business live and direct kutoka Mbeya City. Unasikiliza Radio R au sio 99.2 au vipi bwana?
99.2 FM.
99.2 FM.
Live from Stuttgart City, Germany. 99.2 FM.
Shut up and bend over. Let your back do the talking over. So back up and bend over.
It's your favorite boy,
Home of African music. The listeners agree. The message is clear.
Here we go.
The best radio station to listen to this year.
It's the best music. Best tunes. Because they got the best music.
Live from Stuttgart City, Germany.
99.2 Radio RFM.
Your home of African music.
We play only your choice.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you remember we are talking about facilitating African culture, and it's something that is a bit sensitive for some people, because you're asking maybe where you are, which culture am I going to facilitate? And my question always is, where are you from? Where are you from? And when you have your children as someone in diaspora, these children, where are they from? Where do they belong? Are they just Germans if you're in Germany? Are they just Nigerians if you're Nigerian? Are they just Kenyans if you're Kenyan? So which culture are you going to facilitate? And some of us sadly are only comfortable for their children to learn the German culture, and they know nothing of your culture from where you come from. And I would say their children will have a half identity. It is not fair and it is not right for us as parents of children who share two cultures to be brought up, to let the children grow up with only one culture. They need to know the other part of the culture. And maybe you may say, oh, for what do they need this? They need that for their identity, my friend. I mean, you may think, and this is, I think, is a brainwashing that we've gotten, that the Western culture is superior and better than our culture, and that's a very, very dangerous way of thinking. There is no culture which is superior to another culture. Cultures are just different, because people are different and they have different origins. They have grown up doing certain things that are normal to their culture and to their area where they live and to their ethnicity. But it doesn't mean that one culture is higher or lower than the other. I have had people saying, oh yeah, the Egyptian culture is higher than the sub-Saharan culture, blah, blah, blah. There is no saying, yeah, this African culture is higher than the other one just because they built pyramids and the others didn't, or just because they built certain walls and these ones did not, or just because they dress this way and not the other way. I mean, like in Kenya right now, we have this hype of most of the Western people, when they want, or the Europeans or the whatever, when they want to go to Kenya, they have to see a Maasai. I mean, a Maasai is like the most fascinating Kenyan in the whole of Kenya. But a Maasai is just a Kenyan like any other Kenyan, and have maintained their culture, and I respect them. Despite all the changes that have come, they have stuck to their cultures and they have held on to their culture, and they eat their food and they eat their blood, the blood of the cows, and drink it fresh and all that. They have kept it because for them it is important. Now imagine a Maasai who comes to Germany, lives here, and the child of that Maasai knows only how to eat spätzle and to eat spaghetti and to eat bread and to eat. This child knows nothing about the Maasai culture. Maybe because the woman he is married to doesn't consider that as a culture worth facilitating. That child has a half an identity. It is not right to make that child live as if he doesn't have or she doesn't have a culture. The father's culture count as well, or the mother. For my sake, for heaven's sake, even if it's the mother who is from another culture, but both cultures count. For children who are raised in double culture, both cultures count. We should not start thinking that we have to facilitate only one culture just because someone has brainwashed us to think that our culture is primitive, our culture is backward and all that. That's bullcrap. I mean, if you agree with that, you are reducing yourself to a half a person, half an African, because you are okay actually the way you are, and how you grew up, it may have been different, but it is an important part of your life. And when you decide, oh no, my children are going to, it's the other way around, it's also not right. You cannot say, if you have a woman, maybe let's say a Gambian has married a Cameroonian, and Cameroonian says, no, my culture is better than yours or is higher than yours, so we are going to bring up the child only in Cameroonian culture. It is not fair. If those children are from two different cultures, the children have to learn both cultures, and then they will decide of which culture are they going to take up to their whatever. But to say that one culture is not good to keep and to facilitate and to leave these children completely in darkness as to your origin, it is not right as an African. And I have a problem when we assume, we think and we feel that we are less. Like, I have experienced that sometimes when people say, yeah, I will not work with this and this group because they will do this, or they don't know how to do this because of their culture and all that. Hey, how do you know that they do not know? Give them a chance and let them know. Just because you experience their culture this way or that, you have no right to assume that that culture, what they have, is not right. So you have to learn to give a chance also for the other cultures to be noticed. That is facilitating the African culture. Bala Gambia is saying, hi, Agnes, hi. It's nice that you're there. Thank you for joining us. There in Italy, Mr. Balagambia. And also Hespon Robinson, you're saying, lovely, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about facilitating the African culture, and we're talking about it as Africans who are in diaspora, Africans who are living away from home. We are not in a place where eating ugali is normal. So, and even some people, you may be in a place where eating okra, eating egusi, eating what other foods do we have, whatever, is not normal. And then sometimes we get intimidated from eating such things because we think, oh, this will look a bit backward, or maybe that is going to smell different. Hey, you eat this food all the time you are back home in Africa. What is so wrong about eating it now that you're living in diaspora? You're losing your culture by just because you feel intimidated by whoever is surrounding you. The neighbors, they will eat their spätzle if you're living in Schwabenland. They will eat their spätzle with no problem. They'll eat their sauerkraut, even if sauerkraut is stinking. Sauerkraut is actually almost rotting cabbage. And they will eat it proudly. So what is your problem when you have, you feel like eating this, and just because maybe you're married with someone who doesn't like it? Stand your ground. Don't diminish your culture just because someone is not liking it. That's part of you. Our culture is part of us. It's what makes us. You know, and I think when we, and I want to say thumbs up for those people who are organizing African festivals all over, because they're bringing to us African drama, they're bringing to us African music, they're bringing to us that African vibe. And in some of these meetings also you have the African food. And some of us, sorry to say, we are just happy and proud of it when there are festivals. I have seen it even dressing African. They don't want to dress African because they feel like they're inferior. I mean, I know someone who would tell me, you look pregnant every time you look African. And I was a bit weak. When every time you wear African dresses, you look pregnant. And let me look pregnant, but this is my African attire. I mean, like we like wearing deras, and you know deras are very comfortable. You have space for, if you have big tummy, you have space. If you're pregnant, also you have space. And sometimes it's just nice. It's cooling because the material it's made of is very light and very nice to wear. And then you wear this and someone would try to demean, I would say, is racial profiling when they tell you, you look like this because you're wearing like this and like this. What is wrong? And then the same person will go to Kenya and find a Maasai half naked, and they have no problem with that because it's a Maasai, and they have romanticized that dress, that tribe, a certain tribe, and then they put the other tribes down. And in the process, we don't realize how that plays with our minds, and we start, we start feeling low. So we stop even facilitating the culture we know, the culture we are at home at and with. We stop practicing it. It's so funny because those are mind games. Those are mind games. Like when they say, oh, when you cook this food, it's stinking. So the next time, the next time you feel like eating your certain food from your tribe, you are even afraid, because although you like it and you want to eat it, you're afraid what they're going to say again. You're afraid that the neighborhood will go closing their windows because you're making your, I don't know, your traditional food. Go and cook it and enjoy it. If they want, they should move to another place. This is your culture. You do not go and tell them stop eating sauerkraut because I don't like sauerkraut. You don't go and tell them stop eating ugali because they are from Kenya and you're from Cameroon or Ghana or wherever. Let us learn not to diminish our culture because of others. If it's a culture where you eat human beings, I will understand, because you go to jail and you're cooking someone else. But I don't think such cultures exist anymore. But a culture about where you're just eating normal food, you're eating, I mean, the French eat frogs. Most of us Africans, we don't eat frogs. And yet we don't go and condemn it. Yeah? Okay, we may find it a bit not very normal for us, but it's just different. If they like eating their frogs, let them eat. But then they should allow you to eat your ugali, allow you to eat your whatever you are eating, and not just the French. I'm not talking only about the whites. Even sometimes we Africans, we discriminate against each other about the foods that we're eating. I've heard us make strange comments sometimes about how others dress, how others eat, especially the food. The food issue has been a big, big issue. Concerning some nationalities, their food is like this, their food is okay. It may be uncomfortable for you because you're not used to it, but don't condemn it, because that way that person is facilitating his culture by eating the food that he grew up eating. So, and because you want to feel free, like me, I love eating ugali and sukuma wiki and nyama choma and kachumbari. That is my favorite meal. And I will not accept it when someone tells me ugali is tasteless. They may say it, but then they don't have to eat it. I will still cook ugali, enjoy it. I will eat ugali anywhere, anytime, because it's part of my culture. It's part of my whatever. And I have learned also to teach my children what foods we eat in Africa. Let them decide themselves if it's worth it to eat or not. But don't think, oh, now we are living in Germany or in America or wherever, so, and my husband is this and this tribe, so I put back my tribe, not realizing I'm denying my child a chance of getting richer in a cultural way, getting richer in stabilizing his identity, because some of the children, they don't even know anything about our tribes. They know nothing. They cannot even pronounce our tribal names. They don't know even where your tribe is in your country. They have no idea. They do not know where, in north, south, wherever, where is your country. They don't know. They know there's a country called Kenya maybe. But because you got married to a white, you don't care. They don't know even, they don't know even it's in Africa. You will find the most sad stories out there because we have become ashamed of our cultures. And I think it's a tragic thing because we are denying our children the chance to find their identity. If your child decides it will not like ugali or it will not like sukuma, well and good, but let them have the chance of tasting it before they even decide not to like it. So you cannot stop cooking ugali just because now you're married to a white person or you're married to a person from another culture who doesn't know what ugali is. Cook it. Let them try it and then they can decide. But don't your culture in your life just because you don't want people to think funny about you. And I'm talking about that because it helps us a lot with our identity. It helps us a lot with our mental health as well. It helps us a lot with our dignity. Feeling like we are okay how we are. It will help us a lot also to know that despite our hair looking different, our skin looking different, sometimes having that urge to look colorful and wearing all these colorful things and dancing in a certain way, that it's normal. It will help us feel okay in our skin. If you don't feel okay with your tribe, with your origin, with your culture, you will not go out there standing upright. You will always feel smaller than you are. You will not feel like you are normal like others. It has a big role to play with our mental health, how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive our surroundings, how we perceive our origin. Like, my goodness, I once sometimes back talked about some people who will not even take their families back to Africa to visit their family. I mean, they came in diaspora, they married, they raised children, but they have never gone back with their children or their wives back home because they don't want them to start thinking different about them. And I always ask myself, but you grew up, you got to that point, even in that background that you have, you grew up, you did not die. I mean, you grew up, so why is it so bad if your family sees where you came from and who you are and the food you used to eat? Let them know you, beginning with your family, beginning with where you are. Don't be ashamed of your culture. Don't be ashamed. Let the music flow. African music. You don't have to always play only Schlager in your house because your wife is German or your husband is German. My friend, play that Afrobeat. Bongo. Let them experience that otherness of you. Drama or theater also, not just going to those things that are Western. Sometimes we have things that are African being shown here, acrobatic groups or whatever. One way you are facilitating your culture, and on the other hand, you're also supporting your artists from your countries, from your continent. So when you only do one side, you're being imbalanced. You're not balanced. Your children are not balanced. Even your marriage is not balanced. There's only one culture existing there, and you're two different people. You know? Festivals. Oh, I like it. I like festivals because you will see a lot of our culture in festivals. But after the festival, what happens? When we go back home, how much festival do we bring at home, back home, so that we are happy and proud of our cultures? If we cannot present our culture well, it shows we are not proud of our identity. We are not being true to our identity, and we are Africans. Even if you've lived, like me, I've lived in Germany for 24 years. But I am not German. Even if I take the German passport, or even if those who take the German passport, you don't become a non-Kenyan because you took a paper from somewhere else. You remain Kenyan. You remain Nigerian. You remain Cameroon. You remain someone from Guinea. You remain who you are. So it would be sad for you not to facilitate directions. Give them the chance to learn those two languages. For me, I was a bit naive because I let myself be influenced. I will not name names, but I was not strong enough to stand my ground and teach my child my language. And I'm against it if someone follows my example in that. Don't follow my example. Teach your child your mother tongue, your father tongue. If you're the father who is from African background, teach your child how you do it, how you grew up. The language is so important. Let me tell you when it was very bad for me. When we went home, my granny cannot speak English and cannot speak Swahili. And my children wanted so much to talk with my granny because I really praised her so much, and I said how much it is to, how it was with my granny and all that. But they could not communicate with my grandma. They could just look at each other and smile, and I found it so sad. What if I had taken the time to talk my language, teach my children my language? Even my foster children, they were with me when they were very small, so I would have had a chance to teach them my language, and I did not. So I failed them in that. And I'm just encouraging you, facilitate your culture by teaching the language. The language, when you teach the language, you explain a lot of things on the side. When you're teaching the language, you automatically explain a lot of things. So that way they learn also the culture, how you behaved, what dances you had, maybe the songs you had. They will learn it, and you will not regret it. You will not regret it that your children have learned your culture, that your children have learned about your foods, that your children don't just see strange things happening in festivals and they're like, that's another continent and I have nothing to do with it. When they go for these festivals that are there in summertime mostly, then they'll feel a type of bonding with that culture. They will feel like they're going home because you let them have that chance. So let us, while we are enjoying being in diaspora, while we are enjoying nice tarmacked land, roads and security in our diaspora lands, while we are enjoying the structural systems in our diaspora lands, let's teach our children the culture. Let's facilitate that culture. And really, you will not regret, because you will give them a big chance of accepting and knowing what is their identity, you know. That's why I thought African culture is a very important topic. That's why I'm talking about it today, because I think for now we will go for festivals, we'll have our music, we will have our discos, we'll have our drums and everything.